you, everyone. Call to order the regular meeting of the Louis School Division. I'll begin with the land acknowledgement. And today we'll pass that over to Trustee Palmquist.
The Louis School Division brings together a community of schools on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe, Anahuac, Dakota. Our division is located on the national homeland of the Red River Métis. We recognize that Manitoba is also the traditional land of the Anishinaabe and the Dene. We respect the treaties made on this land and acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past and present. We dedicate ourselves to authentic alliances with Indigenous communities in a spirit of reconciliation and cooperation. We recognize and honor the Shoal Lake 40 First Nation, the source of Winnipeg's life-sustaining drinking water, as well as the treaty territories that generate and provide the electricity that powers daily activity throughout the province and beyond. And I might quickly add that we acknowledge that our division is named for the founder of Manitoba and officially recently recognized first ever premier of Manitoba, Louis Riel.
Thank you very much. Now turn to welcome and announcements. I'd like to welcome everyone participating in this hybrid meeting. Board meetings follow a formal structure where the work of the board is conducted in a public setting. It gathers parents, students, staff, and community members. As chair, it is my duty to preserve order and decorum at all times. All in-person and verified virtual attendees are reminded to observe the procedural bylaws, engage in a respectful and an orderly manner. We'd like to remind everyone there's a 15-minute public question period at the end of the meeting, when verified virtual participants and verified in-person participants can bring forward questions for clarification regarding items on tonight's agenda. Please reach out to the division if you have questions that are not related to tonight's agenda. Finally, please be aware that we audio record board meetings for accuracy, that a link to the live stream of the meeting will be made available on the division's website. Unless otherwise approved, photographs, personal recordings, audio, visual, or otherwise are not permitted. Next, we move on to the affirmation of our vision and mission. Our vision is for all members of our community to excel as caring, confident, capable, and resilient lifelong learners who contribute to a democratic and sustainable world. Our mission is to provide a safe, inclusive, and engaging environment where personal and collective learning are valued and each one of us reaches our full potential. First item of business is the approval of the agenda and minutes. 2.1, approval of agenda for the regular board meeting. Not on here. The last September 17th. No. Yes, September 17th. Not written here. Don't know the date if it's not written in front of me. Sorry about that. So the motion is that the agenda for the regular board meeting on September 17th be approved, that the agenda for the regular board meeting be approved. We have a mover and a seconder for that, please. Semignola, Trustee Turner. All in favor? One.
Yep, we're good now.
Passed. And approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting of September the 3rd. The chair will ask for edits. No changes have been requested, so the minutes will be accepted as distributed. We'll move on to LRSD news. News from the Board of Trustees will be brought today by Trustee College.
Sorry, just give me 1 second. I'm balancing between two screens. Okay. We're entering our third or finishing our second, depending if you count days like my children, week of school in September. I would say it's great to see the kids back in school, playing in the playground and hanging out with friends. Volleyball and cross-country practices have started in all high schools in 7 and 8s. There's been a lot of activity with that and looking forward to seeing some games in the near future. The auditions for musicals are starting this month, and I'm looking forward to seeing what each school is going to choose this year. There's a rumor that J.H. Bruns is doing Addams Family, so that will be an interesting choice and musical to see. Parent councils have started meetings and are back at school, and the back to school barbecues are in full swing. I would make sure that you're checking with your schools because due to weather, some of them have been postponed due to all the rain that we've received yesterday, today, and it looks like will continue into Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It was also great to see Lavely School highlighted for the Universal Food Program in schools that was announced this year as part of the provincial government, and to see the announcement actually come to fruition and the progress that's being made very quickly within our schools. So Lavely is piloting a program offering breakfast, snacks, and lunch options, and Frontenac, St. George, and Victor Major are also participating in this program. And, you know, there's a story up on the LRSD website, the impact that it's having on kids in specifically Lavely, with some references to Frontenac, St. George, and Victor Major. And it's great to see how the food program is already helping support their growth in both school and at home. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very interesting. We can move on then to the news from the senior leadership team, and I believe Superintendent Anderson will bring that today.
Very good, thank you. I'm pleased to bring news about the track renewal project that is taking place at Collège Béliveau. This has been made possible with support from 3 levels of government and the school division as well. The Collège Béliveau Parent Council was able to secure $600,000 in funding to offer our community a space that can be used by students as well as the wider community. Students from both Béliveau and Windsor Park Collegiate will have opportunity to use the track during phys ed classes and as well during outdoor track and field season. The finishing touches are being put on it at this time, including landscaping the interior of the track to be used as a soccer field. And there will also be the laying of rubberized material on the track, making it state of the art. So we're really looking forward to seeing this in use for students, and there certainly is a lot of excitement as students have seen this project progressing over the past months. Frontenac School, the start of the school and universal food program. So piggybacking a bit on what Steve Polachek was sharing earlier. Last week, Frontenac School was excited to welcome back 420 students. And they've been working hard there, learning all the school and classroom routines, expectations, and procedures so that they can have a successful year. A highlight for the start of the year was the brand new snack carts that have been placed at every entrance. Students and families will have access to nutritious snacks like fruits, raisins, and granola bars throughout the day. And with the support of the school division, the Universal Nutrition Program, and other food grants, they look forward to providing more nutrition opportunities to our families as the year progresses. And last stop on my tour around the school division is at General Vanier School, where on September 11th, they held their Terry Fox Assembly. The entire school community, students and staff, came together for a kickoff of Terry Fox activities. The event was led by Miriam, a representative from the Terry Fox Foundation, who shared a deeply personal connection to the cause, having lost her grandfather to cancer and currently supporting a friend battling the disease. Miriam captivated the students with stories about Terry Fox's legacy, showing a video of his journey and even bringing a replica of Terry's prosthetic leg, which each student had the chance to hold. The story of Terry Fox resonated deeply with students, making history come alive, especially since it took place during their grandparents' generation. This assembly was a perfect way to inspire our students as we prepare for the General Vanier Terry Fox Walk and Run, which will take place tomorrow, September 18th. And that might be the only day before I ask. That's good. So way to go, General Vanier, on picking that date for your event. And that is my report for this evening.
Oh, sorry. Trustee Palmquist.
Thank you for that report. Just want to maybe make a quick additional comment, say for the state for the record, that particularly when it comes to Béliveau running track, the contributions of Councillor Brian Mays deserve particular note in his role in leading and assembling those. Thank you.
Very true, good point. Thank you, Assistant Superintendent Anderson. If there's no more questions or comments, we can move then to the board education. We have 3 items today. We'll start with the annual reports to the community. Very exciting. We have it fresh here. We call it the ARC. We'll pass this over to our superintendent to tell us something.
Yeah, I'll just highlight for the community online and trustees and the community in the room with us today that we will be sharing the most recent iteration of the annual report to the community, the ARC, as Secretary Treasurer Rudnicki leaves through the ARC. I'll just comment about the publication. It is one of the vehicles through which we share with the community the implementation of our multi-year strategic plan, the goals we've achieved in the first year of its implementation. On page 14, there's actually a story about that first year of a multi-year strategic plan. But every story touches on our strategic goals. And so there are stories about the cost of doing business in LRSD, stories about the infrastructure that we continue to nurture and build in LRSD. Of course, we need spaces where we grow and learn. And many, many stories about the tremendous work, the amazing achievements we should be proud of last year, and there are countless more stories to tell. We could only capture a few in this publication. So what trustees will observe over the next several weeks is a promotion of the ARC and a special focus on given stories and other stories that haven't made their way into the publication but must be celebrated. So there you have it. The ARC is out.
Wonderful, wonderful. So discussion, does anyone have any particular things that they wanted to point out or bring up or mention about this very thorough and well presented report?
Oh, Jimmy just passed the page. I think this page was really neat with all the work that went into budgeting this year. The fact that community get to see how all that is divided in a form of what was accepted versus what we're proposing. I think there was another one here when we're just working through the budget. I think that's really cool. Good design and good information for the public.
Very true. Anyone else? Anyone online?
Yes.
Okay, yes, thank you very much. This is available online as well for.
That's right. So we're leafing through it
You
online.
can leave through it
There'll
online.
be a spotlight story coming out after tonight. And print publications are available. And we're going to make sure that the stories are available in a variety of formats, not just this print publication that looks amazing. But you want to make sure that the stories you tell are available in many different formats. And so it's an opportunity for me to acknowledge the hard work of Emily, Cody, our small communications team, for putting this beautiful publication together.
Excellent, thank you. So I would encourage all of our community to check this out and take a look at these wonderful stories that tell our story. So thank you. We'll move on then to Director of Information Technology, Clark Hagan, will talk to us about the Our School Student Information System.
Thank you. Move from my corner here, which I don't usually get to come to the table, but gladly some updates. So yes, for those of you who aren't aware, so a student information system is one of our biggest systems that we have in our organization, or one of about 2 or 3 very big ones. It's essentially a database that has multi-role. So it's our attendance platform, enrollment, student enrollment, It's our grade book system, it's our report card creation system, scheduling for classes. It's tied into school payments, and you know, there's a lot more features to it. It's also a database that supplies data or information, all of our other systems, online systems. So transportation, library, learning management, staffing, and many others. So it is a keystone of our system. So what I'm trying to convey here is it's not something that you take lightly. It's don't wake up one day and say, I think I'm going to change my student information system. I think that would be a fun thing to do this year. It's one that you hope as a director, you hope that you only do once in your career, to be honest with you. So so how we got to this position is in July of 2022, we got a phone call from our old information system, which was called Tyler, that they would no longer be supporting Canadian clients. So it was one of those moments where you know exactly where you were when you took that phone call. I was on the 16th hole at Southwood when I got that message, and because it was a moment for us. And so the interesting piece about this is that a few months prior, our province had also announced that they were going to be creating a provincial SIS system. That was their intent. So they announced that in the 2021-20 school year. So that put us in an interesting situation where to roll out a new SIS, it's about a 14 to 16 month project, give or take, depending on the team that is involved. And we had to wait because we had to wait to see what the province was going to do for the final decision, because they were doing consultation and investigating you know, what that might be. And so we didn't want to buy a system that was the wrong one. So that was the dilemma. Because what if we went ahead and bought one and then the province said, okay, but we want you to buy this one over here for the, you know, that's what we're going to do. So we had to wait. And so we worked with the province to advise and to learn. And but then there was an election, and then we found ourselves like we were, you know, that runway of 14 to 16 months. Now we were less than 11 months away, and then we were 10 months away. And so finally, what happened is the province backed away from the provincial SIS plan, and then we were given the permission by end of November of 2023. We were given permission to purchase PowerSchool. And so once you have to go through all the hoops to get to buy something like this, and all the contract was signed. So we really began implementation in January of 2020. So now we were up to an 8-month window. So 14 month, 16 month, we were in an 8-month window. So that was so we were busy, and so I'm happy to announce that this fall we have a SIS. So we have PowerSchool's up and running. The big milestone was, you know, could we take attendance? And we could. And it was I am forever grateful for the team that I have and the hard work of about you know, half a dozen members of my team that they had to put their head down and get this done, but not ignore a lot of their other duties as well. And so things that we have done so far once our launch, we actually launched in the spring in May, June. We had 2 systems running in parallel, but what we've done so far is we've offered training for the past 3 months for clerical staff, school admin, board office staff, senior admin in this room. They've all been trained on the new system. Tomorrow, for the next 2 days, we are doing a lot of training with our teachers for how to use the new gradebook system. And that training will go on for the next few weeks, actually. And so far, what I can say is the feedback that I've been getting from administrators and some teachers and clerical, they're very happy with the new system. I'm sure there will be hiccups, there will be bumps in the road. I'm not going to ignore that fact that there will be, but they do like the new interface, and it offers some new features that we didn't have in our old system. But there is more work to do. So while the end user is happy with what they have, there's a lot of back-end system integration that my team still has to complete. So a lot of things right now we are manually making, you know, pushing the buttons to make sure things happen every day. But we like to have a more of an automated process. Data actually flows from one system to the other all by itself every night. And so that's part of the work that we still have to get done. We still have to finish launching this school payment system that accompanies this. And another big one will be the parent portal. So there has to be a lot of work done there, a lot of discussion with schools as to what we want to see in this parent portal. And that work will be going out throughout this school year. So some of these systems will gradually come online over the next few months. But overall, taking attendance, that's what's important right now.
Very good. Quite the challenge. Any questions on the new system? Yes, just.
Yeah, is there any functionalities that you lost from Tyler to this system? And how has the adaptability for all the teachers been? Is it according to what you guys thought in terms of timeline? Are you behind? Are you ahead?
Sorry, what was the first question?
The first one, is there any functionality that you lost from Tyler?
Oh.
With this system, or did you get additional?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I can't say that we, from a teacher perspective, I haven't heard of any functionality lost. What there is, you run the risk of, what did I have in the old system as a teacher? For example, a teacher comment bank system, right? So we are working on that. I'm bringing those imports across so that they don't lose out, right? So I don't think we can say that anything's been lost. Things are different. The clicks are different. But yeah, I think overall we will be putting more functionality into this new system that we will be retiring a couple of current systems because we can now put that directly into the new system, which gives us a tighter integration and just makes that a better overall system for everybody.
Yes, just in our time. Sorry.
Report cards,
Yes.
are you on track? You're feeling like that's going to happen in time?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
like again, that will be, so that's the next phase of training for our teachers is, so the grade book is the first phase. And then if the teacher leverages the grade book, that actually makes the report card writing process a lot easier for them because it just pulls that along. I guess the one thing I should add is we are not the first division to use PowerSchool. We're the 29th school division province to use PowerSchool. So there's been a lot of adaptation, a lot of work. This is the one time we are not first through the wall, which is a great thing. And so a lot of that work and customizations have already been done. And so we get to benefit from the work of all the other divisions of the province. So
I guess I'm more specifically, I'm asking, is the parent portal necessary for report cards to go out?
yes.
So that
Yes.
those two things are happening simultaneously?
Yes, yeah, that's a very good point, yeah. If we miss that window, we'll have to find alternate ways to get those report cards out, like
Right.
old school. But yes, that you're right, that we have moved all in on a digital report card system now for many years. So that is a goalpost that we are looking.
Trustee Walker online?
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to answer Trustee Simignola's question about staff using it. My school division just adopted Power Schools, and I've so far found it a lot more intuitive than Tyler. I wasn't a big fan of Tyler, so I'm happy to be making the move myself. So I hope that answers your question.
As a parent, I wasn't too happy with Tyler either, so this is much better. Yes, Trustee Turner.
I'm wondering, like, with this new Power School, it deals with the front facing of our website, like student enrollment and that kind of stuff, yes?
Sorry,
Student enrollment and all that, is that part of it?
the displaying on our website?
Yes.
Well, the backend data feeds those visualizations. So that's part of the work that is going to take us some time to get caught up on is all the data analytics that we did in the old system. That is that same team that's focusing on getting the SIS up and running is also the data team. And so there's just not enough hours in the day to do one. So it's a linear project where this has to get done first, and then we can focus on all the data transformation, start feeding all those reports that you see on the website.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Just a comment, Clark, that's a huge endeavor, just kudos to you and your team for getting all that done this year, it's
Thank you.
really big. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you. That team has worked very, very hard. They are, yeah, very, very appreciative of who they are and what they've done.
Excellent. To everyone. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Go back to your kids' table over there. We have Trustee Semignola will tell us about rail safety coming up.
Yeah, I think earlier in June, we deferred this item because I thought it would be appropriate to come and share some of the safety tips that are being worked on in this campaign, knowing that our school division, where the community and the schools that are located close to many rail tracks. So Rail Safety Week is really in partnership with other railroads and the Operational Lifesaver, where they pick a week to promote rail safety. One of the biggest things that as a stat is that over 2,100 incidences that occur as a result of rail accidents in North America. So obviously the commitment is to make sure that we're providing safety in the community and for us as it relates to community and students as well. I just wanted to share a couple of different things that are slogans that are being put around this. They seem simple, but there's a lot of meaning behind them. You see a picture that someone taking a selfie by the rail track. That should not be allowed anywhere. And if you see that, we have to talk to those people to get off, because the locomotive makes noise, but the train itself actually doesn't make. Even if it's a rail car that falls off the train, that doesn't make noise. So it's really important to be observatory and be clear of any of those tracks. So there's a couple sayings in the campaign here that I wanted to share with and with this group as well. There's you saw the text, but did you see the right? You're crossing the tracks, you're on the phone or whatever. So you saw the text, but did you see the train coming? Another slogan is that no time to stop, neither does a train. But what people don't realize, one of those long trains takes about half a mile to stop. And half a mile is long for it to stop once it's easy. Why you can stop a little bit further, maybe within 5 columns or 2 columns or 3 columns. The train takes much longer to stop. So it's always good to gauge and making sure you're making the right choice, whether it's to cross by foot or in a vehicle. I know some people like to rush, or you think the train has stopped now, so maybe I can go over or I can go under. If you don't see anybody, it's very, very dangerous to do. And just wanted to send that message out there. The other one is you have music on and you're walking on the tracks right in the middle of it. So you heard the music, but you didn't hear the train coming. So it's really important to pay attention to that. And lastly, there is a pledge in the CS/rail safety where you can take a pledge, play some games as well, and just share some of the knowledge and the tips about being safe that are out there. So this is going around in North America, from Mexico, US, and Canada. We just promote rail safety around as well. So I thought it would be really neat to come and share this with you guys and share this with our community as well. And Rail Safety Week runs next week on the 23rd.
Good. Trustee Semignola, any questions, comments regarding?
I want to say thank you for bringing this. This is really important information for everybody to.
And is this going to be in our schools? And people going to be going into our schools to talk about this? And are there any plans for that?
Another railroad has done something in the past where they went to different schools that runs more in a lot of schools in different divisions along the city, but I don't think that's in the plans. But
yeah, we'll be promoting the camp. Excellent. Good. Thank you. Okay, well, thank you very much for that, Trustee Semignola. Very interesting information. We move then to the senior leadership team information to the board. And the first item is the senior member leadership team meeting, which took place on September 12th. Superintendent Michalik will give us highlights of that meeting.
Yeah, just some quick highlights. Second meeting of the year. We had the August meeting, now September meeting. We always start with networking. That's slide 3. It's well appreciated. We have staff from, we have our board office staff come and meet with school principals and vice principals informally to start the morning. And it's a great opportunity for folks to connect and problem solve and just get to know each other. We launched our United Way campaign, slide 6. And that was, we had someone from Immigration Services share their stories about the important work they do in our community and how the United Way makes it happen. And as you know, in parallel with our United Way campaign, we have the Elevate campaign that's launched as well. We then moved on to the project-based leadership learning, slide 8, where principals and vice principals work on bringing to life a multi-year strategic plan in their schools. They work on a specific strategic action. It takes the form of often staff learning in the schools that they're leading. And so they work on that very tangible learning that they want to move forward. And again, time well spent. The afternoon then moves into information we want to share. We re-engaged with the conversation we started in August, and we'll continue at our retreat in October, slide 13, where we're asking ourselves some essential questions. What have we accomplished so far relative to the NYSP? What do we hope to accomplish by June 27? What then will we hope to achieve by June 25? And so lots of good data is being generated here, and we'll have an opportunity at the board retreat to talk about that data together. We then moved into the Indigenous education team, slide 15. They were all there to say hello and share the work they have planned for the year, with a special focus on slide 18, treaty education, 19. And so, along with all the other school divisions in Manitoba, we have an obligation to ensure treaty education is implemented. And you see here, phase 1 of that treaty education initiative that we dug into. I'll skip over a few slides. Assistant Superintendent Cormac will later speak to accessibility, our commitments to accessibility and LRSD, which was a focus. And we'll get into the details of that a little later. We talked about cell phone use. We continue to talk about the draft policy, and we talked about other policies that Assistant Superintendent Anderson will speak to in the policy section of our meeting later tonight. And finally, we talked about the collective agreement with our principals and vice principals, our year-long communication and implementation campaign. I won't get into the details of it, slide 36. Assistant Superintendent Champa will get into that in the next bit. That's it for me.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Questions or comments regarding this meeting or the information that's been shared? Good. So thanks again for providing that information. All the hard work that the leadership team does on our behalf, on behalf of the community. So that moves us then to, that's already been mentioned, Assistant Superintendent Cormac will provide us an update on the accessibility plans.
So I'm happy to bring this regular update to you via information that I shared with our leadership team this past week. So on slide 20, Jamie, if you wouldn't mind just going there. Here we see our commitment that we've articulated to community in our accessibility plan. As you know, our accessibility plan is available on the public facing website. It currently is current as of March 2024. By December of this year, the group will update it to meet current requirements. Prior to that, we will hold a consultation with community members with lived experiences to gather their feedback as we work to update our plan. And so here you see our connections to the multi-year strategic plan. So accessibility is part of our multi-year strategic plan. You see it there articulated in 2.1 and 4.1. And really at the heart of it is ensuring that Our approach to instruction is tailored to meet the unique needs of each of our students, as well as attention being paid to how we are building and renovating and upkeeping our current and future spaces so that they are accessible places for learning and work, both indoors and outdoors. And so we spent time last week sharing with the group information, inviting people to become part of the working group. As you know, we have representatives from each employee group that take part in this working group, and we'll continually work to involve people with lived experiences as part of that working group. You know, we held a community consultation evening in 2023, and as I said, we'll be doing one again in the fall. We talked a little bit about the types of barriers that exist. And so you see them on the slide in front of you. And so really what we were focusing on is seeing a barrier that anything that interacts with impairment in a way that may hinder the person's full and effective participation in society on an equal basis. And I actually use this beautiful slide as an example of something that can be quite inaccessible if you have any sort of visual acuity pieces that make it difficult to read white text on colored background. And so we talked about how in the presentations that we create, and so I created this slide and acknowledged that we need to do better in terms of how we are sharing information. And so that example led us into table talk and gave each group a chance to think about exploring the barriers that might exist within school communities. Before really getting into sharing how a standard is created and ensuring that school leaders understand the legal responsibility connected with the Accessibility for Manitobans Act. And at the heart of what I wanted to share with them was what I've been talking to you about for the last number of months is our responsibility to the accessibility standard for information and communication. And so this, you'll remember where the IS department under Clark's leadership has worked to update our website to add accessibility features to our website. But it also goes deeper into understanding that in a public organization, anyone who's creating content or information to share with community members, with students, with parents, anyone that we're interacting with, that communication has to be available in a variety of formats. It also has to meet accessibility needs. And so we spent a little bit of time just looking at some quick ways that we can do that through some of the office tools that we use like Word, Excel, PowerPoint. They all have accessibility checkers right within the tool itself. And so we talked a little bit about how to use those. And then what we've provided here is understanding of the training requirements. So the province is asking not only that we train people, but we track who we've trained. And so in our Smarter You online learning portal, we now have uploaded the learning module for this standard and can track which employees have completed the training. It's not a lengthy training, but it's an important one. And so school divisional staff who have the responsibility of interacting with anyone else, so clerical, teachers, other employee groups, will need to complete the training by winter break, prior to winter break. And so we reviewed that with people as well. And then we also just shared, you'll see in the next couple slides, how Microsoft has embedded in its work platform a variety of accessibility tools and help desks that people can reach out to assist them. That is it in a nutshell.
Very good, thank you. Questions on the accessibility report? Seminole?
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing. I know when we looked at it in the spring, we were way ahead of what the government was requiring for some of this in terms of timelines to get to it. I know you've shared a lot of important things here, especially on the technology side. Does that still put us way ahead? I know some of this is even out way beyond what was asked of us. We just thought it would be good for us to do as a division. Are we ahead still?
I would say we're on track.
Okay.
I wouldn't say we're ahead so much as on track. So the timeline that's set out to update our accessibility plan is very reasonable. Lots of time to consult with people in community. I think the training module people will find is not cumbersome. And because we are a Microsoft division, we take advantage of that product. There are a lot of built-in assisting technologies that we can take advantage of. And so I think, you know, we're a division that if we don't know the answer right away, we know how to find the answer and how to assist people. I think really the message that I was trying to give to our school leaders is it's as simple as saying, how can I help? And so really understanding that and understanding that it's about trying to break down those barriers.
So how can this board help?
Pardon me?
How can the board help?
Well, I guess if I go back to those two MYSP priorities, for me, it's being as mindful as we are with new builds and meeting the new accessibility guidelines as we are with our commitment to updating some of our older facilities that may not be as equally accessible. So the Marion School project is a good example where an elevator was added, some additional accessibility were added. But I would say we have many buildings that are older. And certainly when we think about accessibility, we have to look through the whole building with that lens, and our school audits that are taking place are helping to do that. And so your support with the budget decisions to ensure those things happen, really support community that are trying to just get in to watch their grandchild's basketball game or what have you.
Thank you very much.
Else? Good, thank you, and I want to thank you for highlighting and including in the NYSP, the multi-strategic plan, that drives a lot of the decisions of what doing, breaking through barriers and accessibility is, of course, a very important part of our plan. So thank you for highlighting that. Yeah. Then we move on to Guarding Minds Survey. This is another very important program that we're currently working on. This is Superintendent Jean-Paul on it, and she will now provide us with an update.
So speaking of the multi-year strategic plan, strategic priority 1.2, or action rather, speaks to the creation of a comprehensive workplace safety health program. So one of the first steps in this is obtaining information data from our staff in terms of what their needs are in terms to support wellness in the workplace. And so this is a process that began last year with our partnership with Well at Work. And so the data that we are collecting is all obtained outside of the division. It's all housed outside of the division, which is ensuring anonymity for our employees. So first step was survey collection with over 2,000 employees participating. And we currently are launching the focus groups and the individual interviews. And so again, supporting some of the work that the division has committed to, including its employment practices policy, which was highlighted in the ARC earlier in this meeting. We've decided to focus those focus groups on 4 historically underserved and underrepresented employee groups. And so the focus groups are open to all divisional employees who identify as Indigenous, racialized, 2S LGBTQI+, or living with a physical and or mental disability. So information is available online to all employees as to how to forward their names should they be interested in participating in those focus groups. And again, we are working within community. And so I think, again, always looking at how do we develop our understanding and how are we ensuring that we have voice as part of the decision-making process. And so we are working with partners from each of those 4 historically underrepresented communities in the development and implementation of those focus group conversations, keeping in mind that we are asking people to talk about things that we need to assure that we're creating a sense of wellness and psychological safety. And so the healthier our employees are, the healthier the environments in our workplaces are for our students.
Thank you. Worthwhile information. Any questions or comments regarding this? Look forward to the final results. So thank you again. Next, something that's been on a lot of folks' minds is the teacher collective agreement. And again, we'll turn to Assistant Superintendent Jean-Paul to discuss the year-long communications implementation campaign partnership with the LRTA.
So the Louis School Division is fortunate to have a wonderful partnership with our local associations, including the Louis Teachers Association. And so with the implementation of the new provincial collective agreement, which is bargained by MTS on the teacher side and by MSBA on the division side, there's a number of changes that have been made to the collective agreement that has an impact divisionally. And so the division sat down with LRTA to talk through some of these things and have a better understanding of what are some of the big questions coming from employees and how do we support employees in working their way through understanding this new collective agreement. And so we have launched the first of what will be a series of communications that are joint communications between the division and LRTA. Answering some of these big questions that are coming our way about the new collective agreement. And so the first missive that was distributed to Louis School Division teachers touched on the burning questions around the salary, because the collective agreement speaks to pay periods, it speaks to retroactive pay, it speaks to a number of things. And so providing a timeline and information that responds to that question. And then one of the other questions was around leaves. And so there's a number of different types of leaves, but the leaves that we highlighted in this particular communication are those that have a deadline of September 30th or those that were new. And so historically, the division has under religious leave included leave for Indigenous ceremony and cultural experiences, and that's not something that was seen across the province. And so there's a new article that speaks specifically to MSBA and MTS looking to demonstrate through an act of reconciliation and recognition. And so that's the creation of an article that specifically to supporting Indigenous teachers in the participation in ceremony and other cultural and spiritual observances. So again, something that we were already recognizing as a division under our religious holy leave article, but has been expanded under this new collective agreement. So teachers can look forward to more of these communications coming forward. And as part of this, we've also asked folks to provide their questions. And so questions are going directly to LRTA. We're collecting questions through our principals and vice principals. And so wanting to know what's top of mind for folks so that we can ensure that our follow-up communications are responding to some of those most pressing questions.
Very much. Questions or comments on this? We certainly value our relationship with the LRTA, and I know it's be a bit of a change that it's we no longer have the collective agreement one-on-one, but that hopefully won't affect how we get along as two groups. So that's my 2 cents worth. So thank you for that, all the hard work on that for LRTA and Assistant Superintendent Jean-Paul. So then we go to a universal screening process in support of literacy. It's literacy beginning in kindergarten. Assistant Superintendent Perez will go through an information campaign about this.
Thank you. So we have been on pioneers really on a journey in finding our practices as they relate to literacy screening, instruction, intervention in the province since 2021. And this week, we released a message to parents to sort of inform them a little bit about the details of the screening aspect of that process. This relates closely to the strategic priority 2.3, where we are stating the action would be to implement universal early screening and monitoring to ensure a preventative and proactive approach to teaching and systemic interventions. And this also closely aligns with recommendations that stem from a document released by the Ontario Human Rights Commission in January 2022, called the Right to Read Report. And in it, it talks about the importance of aligning practices very closely with what is identified as best practices in research. And we've been working closely with a team of researchers at the University of Toronto since 2021 to really help us understand how to interpret what is commonly widely accepted in research practices in these areas and how that looks in the classrooms. And so In working with them, we have decided on certain tools that we would use to help us identify students. And the tools that we've selected are selected because of their reliability and their validity as proven research. And the reliability and validity means that they can be very reliable and valid in helping us understand which students are most likely to anticipate challenges in developing these skills as readers. And if we know that ahead of time, then we can adjust our practices in terms of the instructional in tier 1 in the classroom and tier 2 and 3 in the intervention pieces, so that we can really meet those needs as the instruction process is occurring. So this is occurring much earlier on than it would have otherwise. And we also know that that is the best way to address those challenges, to minimize the impacts of those forward. And so in this document, we've outlined what the process is starting in kindergarten. It identified what the tools are that we've selected, why we've selected them, what the components are of the tools. And then we talk about what we call progress monitoring moving forward. And so using, again, tools that have been deemed to be reliable and valid, we're able to continually monitor the progress of the students starting in kindergarten all the way up to grade 8. Our French immersion folks, these tools really don't exist for French immersion students at all. So we were very fortunate to have this team of researchers with us because they've helped to develop tools that we have implemented, and they have actually conducted studies with our students to really prove the reliability and validity of those tools. We're very proud to have that and to be leaders in that field in this process.
Great, thank you. Yes, Nordheim.
So it speaks to other staff members doing the testing outside of the classroom teacher. So 2 questions to that. Who's doing that? And secondly, is that done specifically to match the validity criteria so that the classroom teacher is not necessarily attached to that? Those are the 2.
It was
I have.
It's a good question. It's a choice that we made early on as to how to administer the test by minimizing the impact on the classroom teacher. In the past, before we were doing this, we did some similar screening assessments as a general practice in the division that took a certain amount of time. And we tried to make it about the same amount of time involving the same sorts of people. So generally speaking, in most schools, this is done with student services teachers. Some administrators may assist with that. We also offer some supports from the school and classroom support team. And this is only for the first phase of these screenings. So this is the CTOP part of it. Beginning in kindergarten, it's done twice and once in grade 1. All the other assessments are classroom based. So the DIBELS and the TEFL are the 2 other ones that are listed there. Those ones take about a minute per test, about 5 minutes per student for each of those. That's a classroom based one, so the classroom teacher can see that. Our IS department has done an amazing job of bringing all those results into Power BI reports that our staff can analyze and look at and really use those resources to better understand the learners so that they can program either for the whole class based on needs that may be identified or for individuals. It's a much more targeted approach as a result of doing that. But it would be mostly the student services teachers and admin in that first phase.
Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Thank you very much, Liz. Then that's the conclusion of that section. We move on then to policy. And policy review committee updates, ratification of amendments. We have some information from Assistant Superintendent Anderson. He'll be providing us with a summary report, but first we do have a motion. Do the report first and then the motion, or? Let's do the motion. The motion is that following list of policies be amended. Policy AE, accountability, public interest disclosure, and whistleblower protection. Policy DJB, purchasing procedures. Policy GCC/GDC, teaching and non-teaching leaves, weather related. Policy JLCC, communicable diseases. We have a mover and a seconder for these amendments. Trustee Palmquist, Trustee Turner. So let's hear from President Anderson.
Very good, thank you. The first policy, public interest disclosure and whistleblower protection, was originally adopted in 2019 to meet legislative requirements. It has been reviewed following recent training sessions held by the province on this topic. Changes improve clarity by enumerating the specific wrongdoings to which the policy applies. A provision has also been included by which another member of the senior leadership can be named designated officer in place of the secretary treasurer at the superintendent's discretion. Policy DJB, purchasing procedures, was last revisited in 2023, so it might sound familiar to you, having just looked at it within the past year. It has been updated to reflect recent federal reporting requirements related to forced labor and child labor and supply chains. Essentially, the federal government asks entities to have in place safeguards that ensure that products that are imported and used in them are from ethical sources. And you will recall that the Secretary Treasurer presented a report to this effect the June 4th. Policy GCC and GDC, teaching and non-teaching leaves weather related, was last revised in 2019. And the changes brought before you this evening seek to clarify the process to be followed when weather conditions prevent an employee from arriving at work. Recent changes to the Highway Traffic Act are reflected in these updates. And it has also been reviewed in light of the Provincial Teachers Collective Agreement to ensure that it is in line with it. So and lastly, at the September 3rd meeting, you approved changes to a number of health-related policies. This is the last in the series, policy GLCC, communicable diseases. It was last reviewed last year. It is being brought this evening to include a recent provincial publication as a reference. And also, previously, the policy included 2 administrative protocols. Upon review, it was determined that these would be better classified as safe work procedures. So procedures related to universal precautions around coming in contact with another's blood and managing human bites are now covered under safe work procedures and not attached specifically to the policy. Thinking folks are probably more apt to look in the workplace safety and health folder for that information than in the policy manual. The procedures themselves did not change as to where they're stored. And so these are, this is a high level overview of the changes to the policies.
Thank you. Yes, just.
My question was related to the communicable diseases question. Is there a plan for communication to parents in regards to some of the information in that policy? I thought was pretty pertinent and might be good reminders too. So just having that as a communication that goes along.
Yeah, we plan to include that in an upcoming issue of Parent Post that is sent to all parents in the division.
Okay, thank you. When this is an age thing, at some point when you registered for the kindergarten, you had to show kind of proof of immunizations, correct? That's no longer the case. How long has that been removed?
It's been years.
Yeah.
Most provinces no longer require it.
But there was a discussion around measles in particular. That's the reason, and that has not come to us. Okay, thank you.
Somebody else?
Yeah, for this one, when I was reviewing them when the agenda came out, I know usually you dumb it down for us and have it redlined, so it's easy to see what's changed. The ones that I had on here didn't have that, but I want to point out to the guidelines to E in the new one that talks about is there an amount set to this? Like if the Metro School Division purchasing on behalf of the division and also subject to board authorization?
Sorry, are you referring to the purchasing procedures?
Correct. So yeah. DJB. There's either like there then an amount.
Around $75,000 and a percent.
a report to the board once a year on those purchases over 75,000.
Oh, okay. Are we talking about this? I think you're referring to, E, right?
Yeah.
That's contracts organism. I was referring to E, the way it says the division is not subject to board authorization. If the Metro Board purchases, that's what I read.
Yeah, but it's sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So the approval of any tenders over $100,000. Are approved by the Secretary Treasurer and Board, brought to the board as information every year. That's the process that's in place. And so whether that's done through us as an organization individually, or if we do group buys with other school divisions, that same process.
Okay, so I guess what was missing on that, I thought E stands alone. Maybe it would be good to bring some clarity.
No, he doesn't stand alone. It's linked.
Thank you for that. Yes.
Thank you for that summary. I wanted to give one quick comment, one quick question about regarding the whistleblower protection. Just wanted to give a quick shout out to my former employer, Matt Allard. He led a 3-year campaign beginning in 2015 that ultimately ended in 2019 to extend whistleblower protection under the Public Interest Disclosure Act that was available to provincial employees only to municipal employees. And when that act was amended by the province at the time, and following that campaign, they included school as well. So I just wanted to say, I would give a bit of recognition to him for his 3 years of work to make that a reality. The second question I had was on communicable diseases, just building off an email I sent to the board a week or so ago. Is there any room within this process, and if the answer is no, I understand, to examine further steps or options that might be available in terms of preventing the spread of airborne common seasonal illnesses? Just having gotten the annual back to school flu a couple weeks ago, like most of my parent friends, I wanted to see is there any data we collect, say for instance, on the rates of transmission, staff absences, that sort of thing, on new school facilities versus old ones, places that have air conditioning versus places that don't, places with improved, better airflow versus those with less good airflow, and whether or not there is any observable trend or in terms of student absences, staff, et cetera.
Our superintendents.
Yeah.
So you can answer that.
So we've started collecting data relative to respiratory illnesses and making that available to the public on our data hub. And we will want to delve into that data, but haven't had the opportunity or the wherewithal to do that at this stage. We did allow a study in 2 of our schools by the National Science Institute, the National Science Council,
National Science and Engineering Research Council.
the National Science and Engineering Council. So we're waiting to hear back the results of that study, and when it's made available to us, it'll come to you as a report.
Oh, that's great. Very interested in that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We call the vote then. All those in favor? Favor, Trustee Kolchak online.
Voting in favor.
Thank you. The motion is carried. Thank you. We move then to 6.2, and this is a first reading. Something that's just coming to us. And this is proposed board motion about policy ABD, communication with staff. Well, I had a chance to take a look at it. This is again, if we could have a motion that policy TDD-KBD KBD, Communication with Staff 2024, reviewed by the Policy Review Committee, received first reading, be further reviewed in committee and brought back for second and third reading at a future date. Mover and a seconder on this, trustee Simagnola, Garrier. You, and then we'll hear from Assistant Superintendent Anderson about this.
Very good, thank you. This draft policy affirms the board's commitment to staff wellness by highlighting the need to disconnect from work outside of work hours. The policy contains provisions recognizing various work schedules, the inevitability of emergent situations, and procedures for resolving concerns. A similar policy was adopted last year by the DSFM, Francophone School Division in Manitoba, and the policy has been vetted by our legal counsel. Principals and vice principals have provided preliminary feedback. If given first reading, further public consultation will occur, including employee groups, following which it would be brought back for further readings. And I would pass off to Superintendent Dunkel.
This policy is also in alignment with the work that we're doing around a comprehensive workplace safety program. And so it's a conversation that has been had around the Workplace Safety and Health Committee table in terms of supporting employees and creating a better work-life balance. And so there's strong connection to this and we're anticipating that in the data that we'll receive from the Guarding Minds survey, we know that employee wellness from a variety of different forms is something that has come up. And so this is a way of the division proactively, while it's awaiting the data, looking for ways to support its employees in their wellness.
Thank you. Yes, trustee Barnett.
So this is exactly the kind of conversation that I'm hoping the board has the opportunity to talk about during the retreat. The connection between policy like this and ways in which we're supporting staff in the division, all staff. So this, and let's add this to our little checklist already, as we've already achieved one. But this is kind of exactly, so those are the kinds of policies that we want to explore as we have these conversations. So this was perfect timing.
What else? Yes, and this is a good example. Sometimes the workings of a trustee board can be a little confusing and not clear because we're a different type of a government organization. Some would be used to, but this is again an example of the board gives direction based on our multi-year strategic plan to the senior leadership team. The senior leadership team takes that and works on that through the policy committee to come up with policy that we can have and look at and review. Brought for first reading, will be brought back, further review. This is in a nutshell how board governance works. So it's sometimes easy to miss that when you're watching a meeting, but this is how it works. Work from both sides, governance and management. Thank you for your hard work. Did we vote on this? I don't think we have. Okay. I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Looks like that has been carried. Nordheim?
Still loading.
I see your hand up, so that's good.
Yes.
So that has been carried and we'll look forward to seeing the second and third drafts.
I have one more policy question.
Sure.
Before. Last spring, we talked about possibility, and I forget which policy it was attached to, about those kind of supportive stickers at doors, talking about respectful workplaces and how we expect folks to treat staff and staff to treat visitors. Have we moved forward in any of that kind of conversation?
Yes, so we have done research around it. And we have considered various policy options and ways of attaching it to existing policy through admin protocols or other supports. That is something that will be coming back to you shortly.
Thank you.
So now we move to correspondence. We have school board correspondence received. Moment. And we have. No one has asked that anything be highlighted or brought forward to our attention. So I think that can be accepted. Moment. Having some trouble with my screen here. The same goes for school board correspondence that we've sent and the school board correspondence received and sent to the MSBA. So no questions or comments on any of those matters. We've all reviewed them. So they will all be accepted as agenda items. Thank you. We have no action items today, but we move then to public question period. So we have someone here in person that have any questions about for information about what we've talked about today.
Thanks.
We have some verified people who are online. Anyone raising their hand?
No.
Good. Well, must have answered everyone's questions then. That's good to know. So I then motion that the September 17th regular meeting be adjourned. Thank you all for attending.
Could I get Ian, Pam, and Sandy to stay online, please?
Yes, for everyone's information, the board and Jamie are gonna meet very briefly after everyone disperses.
Short
Should we
back.
not go back
Or-
to
or
in
lots-
camera and not?
That'll be in camera.
Yes, that's why I've asked them. Okay,
We have
I'll install.
other items from in camera that we haven't finished.
Right,
Yeah.
that's.
Are we not gonna go back to the in-camera meeting instead of staying on here? And I can't hear you if you're talking to us.
I can hear you, Pam.
I know